measures. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Hem Korsaro and this is World DNA. Here's a quick look at what we've lined up for you on the show today. In a diplomatic win for India's global outreach campaign to expose Pakistan over terrorism, Colombia withdraws an earlier statement that expressed sympathy towards Pakistan following Operation Sindoor. BLA separatist militant group takes control of Swabi city of Balochistan province in Pakistan. Group claims to have seized key government installations in the city, including bank and police stations. Billionaire Elon Musk bids farewell to Donald Trump in an extraordinary Oval Office appearance in which he sported a black eye, brushed aside drug abuse claims, and vowed to stay a friend and advisor to Donald Trump. US President Donald Trump signals renewed trade tensions with China, arguing that Beijing has violated a tariff de-escalation deal, while saying he expects to eventually speak with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Donald Trump says both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are stubborn as he tries to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. Israel says Hamas must agree to a ceasefire proposal presented by US envoy Steve Witkoff or be destroyed after the Palestinian group said that the deal failed to satisfy its demands. One civilian killed as Israel strikes western Syria in the first such attack on the country in nearly a month. Strikes come as Damascus announced earlier this month indirect talks with Israel to calm tensions. In a major trade move, President Trump has announced a tariff hike on steel imports from 25% to 50%, starting the 4th of June. Speaking at US Steel's plant in Pennsylvania, he also bagged a $14 billion partnership with Japan's Nippon, promising no layoffs and full US control. Now, senior BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad condemned Pakistan's stance on terrorism and added that people in Pakistan are suffering and want to shift to India.
What kind of ill treatment Pak-occupied Kashmir people are suffering, do you know? They cry, "Mujhe Hindustan mein kar do." It comes from social media. They are being victimized, they are being terrorized, what not. In Balochistan, women are being almost given the worst barbaric treatment possible. उनके पति, उनके भाई, उनके बच्चे उठा के लेके भाग जाते हैं.
Ravi Shankar Prasad is leading an all-party Indian parliamentary delegation to Europe as part of India's global outreach program against terrorism and to expose Pakistan's role in cross-border attacks. Former Union Minister M.J. Akbar, also on the delegation, called the Shehbaz Sharif government a government with a double face and poisoned tongue. Listen to this.
Friends, even well-meaning friends will ask you, well, why don't you talk to Pakistan? They will ask you. I'm sure what I'm saying is not something that you haven't heard. Tell them, Pakistan has a government with a double face. Which face do we talk to? Pakistan has a government with a forked tongue. Which tongue do we address? Pakistan talks with a poisoned tongue. Who gets hurt when a tongue is poisoned? You know, a snake is never killed by its own poison.
Earlier, the Indian parliamentary delegation comprising 9 cross-party leaders was briefed in Copenhagen by Ambassador Manish Prabhat on the India-Denmark Green Strategic Partnership, democratic cooperation and shared concerns over terrorism. Meanwhile, in Colombia, another Indian delegation led by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor has successfully persuaded Bogota to withdraw a condolence message originally issued in favor of Pakistan following India's retaliatory strikes on the 7th of May. Tharoor reiterated India will live with strength and not in fear. In Ethiopia, another Indian delegation met with former Prime Minister, reinforcing global consensus on anti-terror cooperation. As India's all-party diplomatic mission span continents, the message remains unified: zero tolerance for terrorism and firm action against state-sponsored terror. And the militants of the Baloch Liberation Army have taken control of the Sorab city of Balochistan province in Pakistan. In a statement released by the BLA, the group claimed to have taken control of key government installations in the city, including bank and police station. Sorab city is located in the Kalad division of Balochistan province, and as per reports, large number of heavily armed militants launched coordinated attacks on various government offices on Friday evening. The BLA claimed that it has complete control of the road and has established checkpoints on the main Quetta-Karachi highway, as well as all entry and exit points of city, sealing off critical transportation routes. The group added that a police SHO was killed during the attack, while other police personnel were arrested and had their weapons confiscated. As per the spokesperson of Balochistan province, militants attacked and looted the bank, while the residence of administrative officers was set ablaze during the assault. He also confirmed the death of additional Deputy Commissioner of Revenue. Following the attack, Pakistan has launched a joint clearance operation with Frontier Corps, Police and Levies Force to restore order in the city. And Donald Trump has said that both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky are very stubborn. This as Trump attempts to broker a ceasefire deal between Moscow and Ukraine. During the press conference on Friday, the US President said that he has been surprised and disappointed by the Russian bombing in Ukraine.
And you guys, you and your team deal with a very stubborn Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Do you
and
look
Zelensky?
Yeah. But do you look at this
very
conflict?
Stubborn Zelensky too.
However, Trump refrained from calling Putin a bad guy when one of the reporters at the presser asked the US president whether he sees Putin as a good or a bad guy. Trump sidestepped from a direct answer by saying that he would like to see the war come to an end, as over 5,000 people are being killed a week in this ongoing conflict.
But do you look at this
very
conflict
stubborn Zelensky too.
any differently now? Like, do you look at this and see Putin as the good guy or the bad guy?
So I've known him very well, and I went through a lot of things with him because Russia was, you know, the Russia hoax. Rockets being shot into cities like Kiev during a negotiation that I felt was maybe very close to ending. We were going to solve a problem, and then all of a sudden rockets got shot into a couple of cities and people died. I saw things that I was surprised at. So, and I don't like being surprised. So I'm very disappointed in that way. With that being said, I'd like to see it end.
Meanwhile, Russia has told the United Nations that it's ready for a ceasefire with Ukraine. Speaking at the UN Security Council, Russia's UN ambassador said that Moscow is prepared for a ceasefire, provided the West stops supplying arms to Kyiv. The ambassador also proposed a second round of talks in the coming week.
In principle, we're prepared to consider the possibility of establishing a ceasefire to pave the way for a lasting settlement of the root causes of the conflict. To achieve this ceasefire, we need, at very least, for Western states to stop supplying arms to Kyiv, for Ukraine to stop its mobilization.
On the other hand, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zilinski has accused Russia of withholding a promise memorandum that is considered vital for peace talks.
Right now, neither us in Ukraine nor Turkey, as the host country, have any info about Russia's so-called memorandum. For some reason, the Russians are keeping this document under wraps. It's a really weird move. They don't seem to get the format at all.
Zelensky also held talks with U.S. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, representing the Republican and Democratic parties. According to the Ukrainian presidential office, the talks focused predominantly on a U.S. legislative initiative that would strengthen sanctions against Russia. Furthermore, the U.S. Senate is set to move ahead with a bill that would impose sanctions on Russia and countries buying Russian oil and other goods. Senator Lindsey Graham slammed Russian President Putin for trying to drag out the peace process. Graham also added that the second round of talks in Turkey would be a little more than a Russian charade. And billionaire Elon Musk's time in the Trump administration came to an end with a formal news conference in the Oval Office, during which both Musk and US President Donald Trump defended the work of Doge and vowed that it would continue even without Musk. Speaking to reporters at the Oval Office, Trump said that Musk is not really leaving and that he will do a lot of things.
Many of the Doge people, Elon, are staying behind too, so they're not leaving. And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling. It's his baby, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of things.
Musk too emphasized that this was the beginning for Doge and the team, and its influence will only grow stronger with time. Musk further said that he would continue to advise Trump.
This is not the end of Doge, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So that it comes with a time limit. But the Doge team will only grow stronger over time. The Doge influence will only grow stronger. So I think the Doge team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president.
That I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Trump also gifted Musk a golden key for his work with Doge. During the interaction, Musk was asked why he appeared to have a bruised eye. Musk replied that he was horsing around with his 5-year-old son, who punched him in the face.
Yeah, no, I was just horsing around with little X, and I said, go ahead, punch me in the face, and he did. Turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face, actually.
Musk's farewell at the Oval Office came just hours after a New York Times report alleged that Musk was using drugs heavily during the 2024 presidential campaign. According to the report, Musk consumed drugs like ketamine, ecstasy and mushrooms and traveled with a daily medication box that contained about 20 pills. When asked about the report, Musk dismissed the publication for reporting alleged fake news and cited a recent judge's decision that Trump can proceed with a defamation case against it. The Tesla CEO departs the administration after a chaotic tenure that saw the eliminations of thousands of jobs and billions of dollars in contracts. Musk, who headed the Department of Government Efficiency, disrupted numerous agencies across the federal bureaucracy, but ultimately fell short of the massive savings he had initially promised. All right, and for more on this, the correspondent Susan Tehrani is bringing us more on this report. Let's listen to her.
Elon Musk has officially stepped down from his role as head of the Department of Government Efficiency, nicknamed DOGE, after 130 days. President Trump held a farewell ceremony at the White House, gifting Musk a symbolic gold key and praising him as terrific, though he did hint that Musk may still advise informally. During his short tenure, DOGE claimed up to $175 billion in federal savings, though watchdogs dispute the numbers. Musk says that he's returning full-time to Tesla and SpaceX after growing investor pressure. Meanwhile, Dogecoin dropped 6% on the news, showing how closely tied its fate still is to Musk's public profile. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, there could be a new point of rift between China and US. American far-right activist Laura Luma has called for the deportation of Chinese President Xi Jinping's daughter from the United States soil. Luma, who is a supporter of Donald Trump, has demanded the deportation. Taking to Twitter, she stated, "Sources tell me PLA guards from the CCP provide her with private security on US soil in Massachusetts." This demand comes a day after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that the US will begin aggressively revoking visas for Chinese students. The US State Department declared that America will not tolerate Chinese exploitation of universities or theft of research.
The United States, I further can say here, will not tolerate the CCP's exploitation of U.S. universities or theft of U.S. research, intellectual property, or technologies to grow its military power, conduct intelligence collection, or repress voices of opposition. The Trump administration is focused on protecting our nation and our citizens by upholding our national security and public safety through our visa process, obviously very openly and transparently applied by Secretary Marco Rubio.
Xi Jinping has maintained an intensely private existence, with most details of her life shrouded in secrecy. The Chinese president's daughter studied at Harvard University in 2010 under the pseudonym. She graduated in 2014 with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and reportedly returned to Beijing. It would be interesting to hear now from the White House what they have to say about Luma's demand. Luma is a prominent Trump supporter. In 2020, she ran for Congress in Florida's 21st district as a Republican candidate. Despite winning the Republican primary, she lost the general election. 2 years later, she challenged Representative Daniel Webster in Florida in a primary but was unsuccessful. And US President Donald Trump has accused China of violating the initial trade agreement reached earlier this month, shaking global investor confidence and sparking fresh concerns about the stability of US-China economic ties. In a post on Truth Social, Trump declared, and I'm quoting here, "China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the US. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy." The claim comes just 2 weeks after both nations agreed to a 90-day pause on mutual tariffs, offering temporary relief to markets. That agreement was hailed as a breakthrough in easing escalating trade tensions that had resulted in steep tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in imports. However, the White House now alleges that China has failed to uphold its end of the agreement, reigniting fears of a renewed trade war. While no specific violations were detailed, officials say the U.S. fulfilled its commitments and that China's compliance has slowed significantly since the truce.
Tariffs on China, you said that they violated the agreement with the U.S.
Well, they did. They violated a big part of the agreement we made. You know, if you read that whole statement, I was very nice to them. I helped them because they were in trouble with the stoppage of a massive amount of business. But I'm sure that I'll speak to President Xi and hopefully we'll work that out. But yeah, it's a violation of the agreement.
Analysts say the latest development could impact everything from consumer prices to supply chains, especially if tariff talks collapse. Negotiations between the two nations appear to have stalled, with officials suggesting further progress may require direct engagement between the presidents of both countries. Trump expressed confidence that a discussion with Chinese president could ease fresh trade tensions. And Trent, AlexanderArnold will officially become a Real Madrid player on the 1st of June. Premier League champions Liverpool have accepted a fee of €10 million, or that's about $11.3 million for the England defender. The 26-year-old had already announced that he will be leaving his boyhood club Liverpool after the Reds confirmed as Premier League champions. He was widely expected to join Real Madrid, but it looked like the deal would be a free transfer as his contract with Liverpool expired on the 30th of June. However, Real were determined to get Trent for the Club World Cup, which begins on the 14th. And now a club statement from Real Madrid has confirmed that a deal has been agreed upon. Trent has signed a 6-year contract which runs till the end of 2030 to 2031 season. This officially brings an end to his 20-year stint at Liverpool, which he has been in since the age of 6. Trent was an integral part of the side that won 9 major trophies, including 2 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League title and the Club World Cup. He will join England teammate Jude Bellingham at Real Madrid, who are now managed by Xabi Alonso. The Spaniard replaced Carlo Ancelotti at the helm earlier this week.
When we get to know.
Well, you've got to be living under a rock if you don't know about Sinners. The American film is killing at the box office, and how. Just a few days ago, residents of Mississippi gathered at Clarksdale Civic Auditorium for the highly anticipated first local screening of the movie. We're going to leave you with this one. Thank you so much for joining us on WION World is One.
I'm drawn to this movie. It's something about how Ryan is able, as I've said before, how he's able to capture the Black experience on film.
It's very beautiful to me that we have this experience because not a lot of people get to see Mississippi for what it really is.
And I'm gonna tell y'all, like we told our folks back at our hometown screening in Oakland, you know, it's a movie that's meant to be participatory. You know what I mean? Y'all can talk back to the screen.